Wow.
Y después algunas cuevas hay.
Hay cuevas acá. There literally could not be a better spot to hide.
For Hitler to escape, he needs to get out of Spain and go to South America.
You find me a U-boat base out of Cadiz, I'll be very happy.
Cadiz port was home for supplies for U-boat.
What was it specifically that your mother was doing for Nazi Germany?
Spying. All the spies went to this hotel called Reina Cristina that was a landing spot for the submarines in this area.
It's still there?
It's still there.
We have to investigate this. We're looking for an exfiltration route in the Cadiz area that you could rely on.
CIA veteran Bob Baer and war crimes investigator Dr. John Sensich discussed their investigation in southern Spain, where they are in search of a U-boat loading dock that Hitler could have used to make his way to South America. They are following a declassified Argentinian document that claims Nazi U-boats were secretly moving from Cadiz, Spain to Argentina.
We have intel telling us that there were U-boats leaving in this particular area. We have a photograph with a U-boat there in the Gulf of Cadiz, and we have an eyewitness corroborating this.
On top of it, we've got this lady who pulls out clear evidence of Nazi espionage in the Cadiz area, and she's telling us that Nazis are using this Reina Cristina hotel as a meeting place.
Spies going in, spies coming out. That's where the U-boats are coming in and coming out. It makes sense.
Question is, what do you get if you go to Reina Cristina?
That's what we need to find out.
If this hotel leads to a potential U-boat exfil point, I'll be very happy. This will be exciting.
Well, I'll be interested to see inside it.
Yeah.
In Cadiz, Spain, World War II historian James Holland and U.S. Army recon expert Mike Simpson arrive at the Hotel Reina Cristina in search of evidence that this location could have been used to covertly board onto a U-boat.
You can see why you would have so many spies here back in the first part of the 20th century.
Certainly can.
Someone up there, big pair of binos, looking straight out over the water. Oh, yes, you can see a bit from here, can't you?
The beach is right there.
Yes.
So the fact that we have the easy access to the beach, you can almost picture in your mind, a U-boat popping up there.
So as long as you could get someone down to the beach, it would be hypothetically possible to get a U-boat in here.
I would still always prefer to do it completely clandestine. Avoiding visual detection is ideal. I'd like to see something that would get me all the way out into that U-boat without ever being detected.
We're looking for signs of infrastructure. What I want to do is look around and see what can I find out from the people who are there.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien.
The team makes contact with Claudio Casas, a hotel employee.
¿Hace cuánto tiempo que trabajas acá en el hotel?
Aquí, pues desde el año 90, unos 26 años ya.
Okay. Says he knows it well. Buscamos para una ruta escondida. Hay manera para salir afuera del hotel, en secreto.
Sí, sí, tenemos un sitio así.
¿Y conoces?
Sí, conozco.
Enséñame, por favor.
¿Vamos a verlo?
He's going to show us.
Oh, fantastic.
Sí, vamos.
Claudio leads the team to an entrance below the hotel's pool.
Oh, my goodness.
So the question is, where does that go? ¿Dónde se va?
No lo sé.
I need to take a look at that. Really cramped in here. And pretty smelly. I'm gonna follow this around, see where it goes. Really tight. Sounds like water flowing up ahead, and I'm seeing some light. Wow, I was not expecting this at all. So I've got two big wells, big cisterns, about 2.5 meters across. It's probably about 30 feet down.
The team has discovered a tunnel that runs below the hotel's pool, leading to a pair of wells 100 feet from the coast.
There's water down there. I can actually smell the salt, so this is not fresh water coming down. And there's a steel ladder placed in the side. Definitely somebody had an eye on making this easily accessible down to the bottom. I'm wondering, are these wells some type of way to get someone out to link up with that U-boat without any detection whatsoever? We're gonna need some help to answer this question.
At first light, Mike and James return to the Hotel Reina Cristina. They're joined by a structural engineer and a team of divers.
Hey, mucho gusto. Yeah, gracias por todo.
They hope to determine if these wells could have served as a clandestine escape route to the Atlantic.
¿Qué piensas?
Estas estructuras pueden tener aproximadamente unos 100 años. Entonces ahí venía el agua residual, entraba a este pozo, y este pozo tiene que tener salida al mar.
According to the experts, these wells were once part of the hotel's drainage system. During a downpour, rain would funnel into the wells, travel through a tunnel at the base, and drain out into the open ocean. But due to rising sea levels in recent years, salt water has flooded into these now defunct reservoirs.
Seawater has completely flooded these wells now, which is why I smell the salt water. But back in 1945, unless there was a rainstorm, these would have been wide open. The question now is this tunnel at the bottom big enough for a person to fit through? Because if it is, that tells me that they could shuttle people from right inside the compound of the hotel right out into the ocean and to a waiting U-boat. There's our baby. Fortunately, we have the technology at our disposal to find out.
Mike and James are armed with a waterproof Rover X crawler, which is used to explore underwater caves and dangerous pipelines. It is equipped with front and rear-facing high-definition cameras on a robotic arm with full articulation and rotation.
James, I'm hooked up to the cable if you want to check it on your end. How's that picture looking on your end?
It's looking incredibly clear, actually.
I'm going to start lowering it down. I can see the light in the water.
We're underwater now, Mike. So far, that water is pretty clear. I'm looking at something. Okay, Mike. We got a tunnel.
Roger that, James. I'm looking down at the light. The light is heading in exactly the direction of the beach. How big around does the tunnel look?
I can't tell from looking at the screen how big the cavity is.
Control of the rover in the water. You can drive it.
Let me give it a go. It's not going, is it? I don't know what's going on here, Mike. It's not moving along the sediment. I don't know quite what to suggest.
So rocking the wheels forward and back, you're not getting any traction at all?
No, it just can't move. That robot was going absolutely nowhere. There's so much silt, the wheels just can't grip. The silt is too deep. So at this point, there's only one solution, and that's to get eyes down there and see how big this tunnel is.
The divers descend into the well in hopes of determining the dimensions at the base of the tunnel.
He's in the water. He's going to try to free dive it a little bit.
Divers going down there, that's quite brave of them, to be perfectly honest, because they are literally diving down into the unknown.
¿Cuántos metros ha recorrido, Antonio? 30 metros más o menos de ahí del punto ese.
Dirección al mar. It goes to the ocean for 30 meters.
Sí, sí.
All right, James. He's swimming, and it goes for 30 meters towards the ocean. How wide is it?
El ancho tiene unos 90 centímetros.
So 90 centimeters?
Suelo a suelo, sí, más o menos.
Okay, 120 centimeters by 90 centimeters. So pretty sizable.
That's not just a drainage pipe. You can walk in that.
Bien hecho, amigo. The intelligence that we have has led us here, to the southwestern corner of all of Europe. Today we were able to prove we have a definitive link from the hotel to the open ocean, directly toward Hitler's ultimate destination, South America.
I'm convinced now someone could have come to this hotel, gone out the tunnel, got on a U-boat, out of sight, no witnesses. You know, next stop is Argentina.
Bob and John review the findings from the Hotel Reina Cristina in Cadiz, Spain, where they have discovered a clandestine tunnel leading to the Atlantic Ocean.
You've got a exfiltration route here by U-boat, but we have no idea who got on that U-boat. Do we have any evidence that either Hitler or Bormann were on the U-boat leaving Cadiz?
No, we don't. I think we need to see if there are any other intel reports in the database. And let's see if either one or both show up in this particular radius. Hitler, Bormann. What I'm going to do is put in 100 miles of Cadiz.
This is a MI6 report, August 10th, 1949. Bormann's headquarters, Tangier, Morocco. A former Luftwaffe pilot asked whether Bormann really had the organization of which he had been told, and received the reply that we National Socialists were working for their whole lives to prepare a comeback for National Socialism in Germany and in the whole world. It's a huge statement. The Bormann goes to Tangier to set up the Fourth Reich.
And that's not speculation. earlier in the investigation, we uncovered Hitler had plans for the continuation of his empire well beyond the Second World War. Hitler carried with him secret plans for the V3 skyrocket bomb.
A V3 could hit the United States. Hitler didn't think history was over for him. He came here to plan something. If Hitler was still alive, he wasn't going to disappear to Argentina, move up in the mountains and write poetry. We're talking about somebody who had great potentials of power. But he's got to have a network that he trusts, and Bormann's the guy that Hitler trusted.
What's really interesting here is the proximity. Tangier is only 9 miles from the hotel.
And remember that Tangier was a lot like Spain. It was never fully under Allied control. It's always been a point of smuggling into Europe. Tangier's a good place to hide.
If Hitler and Bormann were in Spain, there's every reason to infer from this that Hitler got on the U-boat from Spain to South America, and Bormann goes to Tangier and sets up his headquarters there in view of their overall ambition for a Fourth Reich.
Yeah, I totally agree. What we got to do is get the team there, and all I care about is some evidence that Bormann went there. Headquarters can mean all sorts of things.
Tangier's a big city, but we have to start somewhere.
Yep, let's go.
What do you think we need to be looking for if there is such a headquarters?
Communications and security, first and foremost.
U.S. Army recon expert Mike Simpson and World War II historian James Holland are in the Moroccan city of Tangier.
So this is the original ancient port?
Yes, it's the original.
They rendezvous with local translator Esteban.
And there's Spain right there. Just a little jump to Cadiz.
Yeah, just across the sea.
For centuries, Tangiers has been known as an international city with strategic importance. It sits right at the mouth of the Mediterranean and Atlantic. It's in a key position. We need to follow this thread out and see where it leads. Mike.
How do you do, James?
Rashid.
The team makes contact with Professor Rashid Tapersidi, an expert on Moroccan 20th century history.
What was the scene here in the 1940s and 1950s?
La posición de Tánger, en el estrecho. Los países querían saber todo el tráfico, sobre todo militar, que pasaba por el estrecho. Y cada uno estaba espiando al otro.
He's saying that Tangier historically always been a hotspot of espionage. The Allied forces and the Axis forces all used to spy on each other. It was all the time. So during the Second World War, was the Wild West here in Tangier.
Where you've got spies, that means you've got safe houses, knowledge, infrastructure, which post-war, if you're a fleeing Nazi, is all incredibly useful. So I'm thinking, Mike, if I'm a German spy and I'm here, I can't think of a better place to spy than the port.
Rashid leads the team to a lookout point to better examine the port, a potential entry and exit location for spies in Tangier.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. It's a credible view from up here.
So this is where espionage begins. But once you've got your information, you're then taking that into the city.
During the 1940s, was there any location where German military officials were seen moving in and out?
El barrio de Marchand. Había alemanos.
He's saying that in the Martian neighbor, there is a lot of German there. And they were Nazis here, of course.
In the Marchand neighborhood specifically.
Specifically in the Martian neighborhood.
We started with a really broad location in the city of Tangiers. Now we've narrowed that down to a specific neighborhood, Marchand. This is a known location where these Nazis were interacting during the time period that we're interested in. Now we just need to find the brain, the headquarters, the nerves.
Exactly. That's where the trail leads us.
We've gone from the entire city of Tangier to one neighborhood, Marchand.
Yeah, we have to dig into this and see what we can find.
When we look at the evidence, it's clear that a Fourth Reich was planned.
Bob and John discuss their investigation in Tangier, Morocco, where an MI6 file reports Martin Bormann was setting up a headquarters for Hitler to re-enter the world stage after World War II.
When we're talking about the Fourth Reich, it reminds me of another one of the documents that we had earlier in the investigation. Here we have a U.S. military intelligence document dated 7th of November, 1944, where a French intelligence officer infiltrated a Nazi meeting. These are the things that he was able to discern. Existing financial reserves in foreign countries must be placed at the disposal of the party so that a strong German empire can be created after the defeat. These bureaus will receive plans and drawings of new weapons.
The Fourth Reich depended on armed force. If Hitler is going to come back, weapons are absolutely crucial.
If you're really going to become involved with the manufacture or distribution of arms, what do you need? You need a munitions expert. You know who comes to mind? None other than Fritz Mandel.
What can Francisco tell us about how Mandel made his money while he was in Argentina?
He used to own an ammunition factory.
So he was making arms while he was here?
Yes.
And here we have Hitler meeting with him after World War II. This paints a picture of a man who's trying to set up an army in Argentina, a Nazi army. Austrian munitions maker, big-time money. And he's in Argentina. What's important here is that Mandel was a trusted member of Hitler's inner circle. He's a dyed-in-the-wall Nazi, and he's somebody that Hitler could trust.
I think we need to look a little bit closer at Fritz Mandel. Okay, we got a hit. U.S. War Department report in 1943, Mandel's bicycle and plastic plants began to produce machine guns, airplanes, bullets, and bombs. This is the perfect cover.
Yeah.
The raw materials, the machinery that's needed to produce bicycles is the same as what's needed for machine guns, bullets, and bombs. He owned a number of companies in Argentina. One of particular note is a bicycle factory in Buenos Aires. If we could go to this so-called bicycle factory in Buenos Aires, and if I could get some forensic evidence to munitions, weapons, explosives, circumstantially, a conspiracy has been proved.
We are doing the investigation that should have been done 7 years ago.
Kind of a weird location for him to have a factory, downtown Buenos Aires.
Investigative journalist Gerard Williams and U.S. Army Special Forces Tim Kennedy, along with local translator Nicole, arrive at the location that was once Fritz Mandel's bicycle factory.
You ready? We're coming to the Mandel factory to see if they were making munitions. Munitions can be so many things. They could be grenades, it could be ammunition, it could be explosives, bombs, artillery. The spectrum of what a munition can be is diverse. It just has to do one thing: hurt people.
The team meets with Margarita, a longtime employee of the factory.
The era that we're the most interested in is when Mandel was working at this factory.
¿Cuándo fue que tomó el control de la compañía Mandel?
Lo adquiere en el año 43.
Somewhere around 43, he started appearing in the books as vice president. But it's still a mystery exactly how long he was here for.
What were they able to make with the machines that they were using?
Esta fábrica te permitiera fabricar desde una cacerola hasta una bicicleta, cualquier tipo de objeto de cualquier tamaño.
They could make from really, really thin aluminum items and really thick aluminum objects.
The versatility of those machines, if you have the right engineer, you can make almost anything metal right here in this factory. They have the equipment to be able to execute from start to finish not only a gun, but also the ammunition.
So this is the area that was in use during the 40s. Every machine here is out of order.
Tim? German. Deutschland. 39?
A German machine imported here?
Yeah, have to be. And the size of this stuff. The size that reminds me of nothing more than artillery shells.
Yeah.
Or mortar rounds?
This is all 1940s. German design, German manufactured, just in downtown Buenos Aires, Argentina. And this place is filthy.
Tim Kennedy and Gerard Williams have gained access to a factory once owned by Nazi sympathizer Fritz Mandel that, according to a declassified U.S. War Department file, was secretly manufacturing munitions.
One thing's for sure, it hasn't had a deep clean in the last 75 years.
They are investigating a now-defunct section of the factory that was in use during the 1940s.
There's inches of dirt in the corners, on the floor, in the center where we walk. It could be a blessing in disguise. Because if they were making bullets here, if they were making explosives here, whenever they stopped, it doesn't look like they started cleaning up.
No.
So this could be the environment that could protect
Any
those residents.
Yeah. It's not going to decay over 70 years.
Yeah. We're looking for trace elements of the things that they used in explosives and ammunitions back during World War II. This factory's dirty, but dirt actually would have protected those traces that we're looking for over the course of time. The technology that we have could still be able to identify them. These are explosive test cards.
Okay.
So I find a sample, I get a little bit of residue, put it on the card, take the card, put it into the seeker.
Okay.
If there's explosive residues on the card, the seeker will tell me that this is what you found and this is the material that's being used here.
The team is armed with the Seeker-E, a state-of-the-art munitions detection device used by military forces around the world. To minimize false positives, a test card is inserted into the seeker E, which releases a chemical solution that causes explosive material to change color when detected.
I gotta go get some samples. Those things are sketchy. I want to test those. There's a bunch of black residue at the bottom of this still. Three, two, one, done. Finalizing test results. No explosive detected.
Okay, clean.
All right, let's keep looking. See anything else test worthy?
There's not a lot up here, Tim.
Hey, Gerard.
Yes?
Oh, there's definitely stuff in here, Gerard. So we have multiple bits of equipment here for measuring chemicals, I mean, down to the gram. This is what I'm testing right now. You can still see residue in the bottom. Analyzing explosive test card. 10 seconds. I have a positive hit. I have explosive detected, group 1 TNT, TNB.
It's detected TNT, Tim, up here.
The stuff that was used after World War I, during World War II, to build ammunition and to build explosives. We have 2 of the ingredients they used then, right here. If we found other stuff, it would indicate a different era of manufacturing. But the sample in here is materials that they used back then. We came here for evidence. It looks like we found it. If Hitler and Bormann were planning a Fourth Reich, they're going to have munition factories just like this. They're going to have partners like Mendel. I think that this factory, what they're making here, could have been part of the Fourth Reich.
If I were a spy operating in this area, these are exactly the types of streets that I would want if I had to move from point A to point B. Lots of places to duck off.
In Tangier, Morocco, Mike and James investigate the Marchand neighborhood, a reported hotbed of Nazi activity in the area. They are in search of a location that could have been used as Martin Bormann's headquarters for the planning of the Fourth Reich, as reported by a declassified MI6 file.
There would have been expats from all these European countries here from the early days of the war, maybe fleeing on through the war and post-war.
This really is a kind of a confluence of all sorts of different people, isn't it?
We start with a really broad location, the city of Tangier. We've narrowed that down to a neighborhood, Marchand. Now what we're looking for is a headquarters building that is supposed to have existed 70 years ago. It might not even be standing today. We need to look around a little bit, start to elicit human intelligence, and try to locate it on the ground. Is there a house or a business where Germans would be located?
I don't know.
Yeah. It's very easy to lose your bearings.
Yeah.
If you're looking for headquarters, this is your area because you want somewhere discreet, out of the way, that people aren't going to notice. You look at that. I want to see what that's got to offer.
Mike and James discover an abandoned building on the outskirts of the Marchand neighborhood.
What is this place?
The first thing I think of is like a fortress. These walls are so thick, they don't build them like this anymore.
This feels like a hideout, doesn't it?
There's things I like about this place for like a meeting place, but not necessarily as a hiding place.
Right.
Unlike a lot of the streets that we've been on, it's like a triple wide street, so that's a lot of prying eyes. I don't like the front entrance at all. It's basically in a large plaza. That tells me that there's a lot of eyes that can watch this.
In hopes of zeroing in on a location that could have been used as a Nazi headquarters in the Marchand neighborhood, their local contact has convinced Shamsi Mohammed, a lifelong resident of the area, to speak with them.
So with the known presence of all the spies here in Tangier, does he know if this building had any connection to that in any way, specifically the Nazi spies?
He doesn't have no idea about this.
The period we're particularly interested in is 1945, because we're looking to find any signs of Germans, Nazis, escaping Europe, fleeing to Tangier.
Is there any specific location that he knows for sure, or that was rumored to be a location that the German spies would particularly use or operate out in the area?
There is a specific house when there was suspicious German people there.
Where is this?
It's in Imam Muslim Garab. It's the name of the room.
We need to check that out. This is a very positive development in the investigation. Through our intelligence sources, we've been able to narrow this down from the entire city of Tangier to a neighborhood to a single street, Calle Imam Muslim. If Martin Bormann's headquarters can be found somewhere in the city, thankfully, our search grid has been significantly narrowed.
Look, well, we have the team in Tangier. I think we should really run down the team in Argentina.
With the investigation moving forward in Tangier, Bob and John review the team's findings in Buenos Aires, where a bicycle factory once owned by Fritz Mandl, a suspected Nazi munitions dealer, returned positive results for explosive materials.
The forensic test produced results showing numerous ingredients of various types of explosives, including TNT. That's a heavy discovery because those ingredients aren't necessarily the type that are being used now, but they were during the Second World War.
There's only one way that Mandel could set up a munitions factory in Buenos Aires, and that's with the support of the government. You simply can't do it on your own.
It's interesting that you say that. Something that is quite interesting is this man right here by the name of Jorge Silvio Coloto. Coloto was Juan Perón's aide-de-camp, his right-hand man, the same way Bormann was to Adolf Hitler. What we've uncovered is the last known videotaped interview of Coloto. Coloto also puts a caveat in here that he doesn't want this interview to be disclosed to the public or to anybody else until after he dies. We are the first to delve into this tape. He says that in 1945, after the end of the Second World War, there was a meeting between Juan Perón, the president of Argentina, and Martin Bormann in Buenos Aires.
And this guy isn't just anybody. I mean, he is in Perón's office, a trusted aide. Jorge Coloto is important because all along we have been looking for witnesses. This guy was there, saw the way stuff went down, and this is the closest you're going to get to a human source describing this relationship between Perón and the Nazis.
So let's look at the interview. Let's subject it to some forensic analysis. Let's see if he's telling the truth.
Bob and John are joined by Alan Hall. His state-of-the-art CVSA technology measures minute changes in a person's vocal cords to discover if they're telling the truth.
Traditionally speaking, an individual that might be lying is under stress. The computer voice stress analyzer technology will identify that via the microtremors of the voice. The more stress, the more the microtremors are tight, and they're depicted on the screen as a deceptive pattern.
The polygraph, I've seen people beat it over and over again. Voice stress analysis, not so much.
Let's look at the video.
Porpa llegó a la Argentina no con un pasaporte a nombre de él, un pasaporte que se le mandó con un nombre falso. Tuvo una conversación muy privada con Perón. Fue muy secreta la entrevista. Cuando se fue, una persona me dijo, ¿es Bormann? No, sí, no.
In your book, Commissioner, you failed to mention Martin Bormann. Why is that?
Porque consideré una lealtad hacia Perón. Yo considero que el traidor tiene que ser fusilado por la espalda.
What we'll do now is grab the audio off of the bottom and, using the software, capture those voice patterns and put them on the screen. The relevant question was, did Perón actually have a meeting with the Nazi Martin Bormann? So, based on these patterns, the results of the audio are truthful.
You take this to the bank.
The results are the results.
This is huge. We've got munitions. We've got thousands and thousands of Nazi war criminals living in Argentina, and now we've got government support. We have Bormann meeting with the president of Argentina, and you have this talk of a Fourth Reich. All of the evidence is pointing to that there was a plan afoot to establish the Fourth Reich and to base it in Argentina.
The evidence is getting stronger and stronger.
The deeper we get into a Fourth Reich in Argentina, the more I'm convinced.
Imam Muslim, so we narrowed it down to here.
In Tangier, Morocco, James Holland and Mike Simpson head for the street known as Calle Imam Muslim, which could be the location of Martin Bormann's headquarters, to plan a Nazi Fourth Reich, as reported by a declassified MI6 file.
Bormann's going to set up a headquarters. He wants security and communications. You want to keep those leaders safe. Through our intelligence sources, we've been able to narrow the location of Martin Bormann's headquarters. from the entire city of Tangiers to a neighborhood and finally to a street. The next step is for me to get up on the high ground, and I want to see what I can see in the neighborhood. Hello? See this white structure right there, just to the right of it? Does that look like an antenna to you?
An old one at that.
That's not a TV antenna. That's not a hobby radio operator antenna. That looks military grade.
Think that's it?
It's definitely number one on our priority list right now to check out. Going into this street to actually conduct a ground reconnaissance, something that's just a little bit out of place, anything that's just a little bit different, all these little clues are what I have been trained to look for. Oh, look at this. It connects right to the house. Look how thick that concrete is.
Yeah.
That's ridiculously thick. That's like a defensive position, it really is. Two things that Bormann would have to have for a headquarters: security, communications. Both of them are right there. It's literally like you built it to withstand an attack.
You know, this place has got a tower, and it's just such an oddity. It looks so incongruous compared with all the other buildings on that street. All the kind of construct, the way it was put together, absolutely reminded me of a German bunker.
They approached the front gate, hoping to gain entry into the home.
Hola.
Hola.
¿Hablas español?
Sí.
Estábamos viendo por aquí, nos ha interesado la forma de la casa, la arquitectura. ¿Te importaría si entramos un momento a echar un vistazo? O...
Que no, perdona.
Solo sea un segundo para entrar y...
No.
Just so you know.
We're really sorry, but just for a minute.
Yeah. Dice que sienten mucho la molestia que hayan entrado tal, pero solo sería un minuto.
Puedo dejaros, pero muy poquito tiempo.
Gracias, muy amable. Gracias. What year did you move in here?
1989.
You don't have any idea who the original owner was?
Él era alemán.
¿Un alemán?
Sí. Y fue el alemán el que hizo la torre.
The German built the tower?
Sí.
This German not only built the tower, but also in the bathroom, in the basement, like exits and ways, passengers, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Él era alemán. Dueño vendió muy rápido.
The original owner, he left very quick and very fast, so he sold it to someone else.
Siempre he pensado que le estaban buscando.
Is there any chance we could have a look in the house as well?
Pero pueden echar un ojo por la casa, ¿sería posible?
Ya que estáis aquí.
Oh, that you're here.
Si lo pones arriba, lo subes. Desde aquí puedes pasar a esa habitación y a otro sitio del otro lado.
So there's a small compartment connect all the house. Through this tunnel, you can go to every room in this house.
Well, I'd love to see where it comes out.
Ok, aquí sales. Por ahí.
Oh my goodness me. There's so much space up here. You could definitely hide up here. You can get up into the loft and then you can go out a different route. It's got a number of little ways in and out. Feels like a house with secrets, I have to say.
Oh, and it gets even better. I mean, this is like a fortification here, what I'm looking at. Somebody put a lot of thought into this. This is really impressive. So the ocean's right that way. All this is new. None of these houses were here. None of these buildings were here. So these were just two mountainsides, and you can see right between the two of them into the open ocean right there. A U-boat can surface right out there just off the coast. And I put this antenna up high enough, I can go all the way out to where they are. This has all the markings of a military command center. Martin Bormann can control his finances. He can control personnel, arms, ammunition, supply lines, all from right here. If the Nazis had a headquarters for the Fourth Reich, it's here.
Next time on Hunting Hitler.
This map depicts a plan to bomb the United States, and more specifically, Manhattan Island.
This is chilling. There's no reason to believe the Nazis would not entertain weapon of mass destruction.
We need to know everything about a Nazi scientist called Dr. Richter.
He got himself an island.
He got himself an island.
It's this way, come. Oh my God. He convinced Iran he will make a nuclear technology in 2 years.
This is to prevent radiation from escaping. That's how close they were.
Hitler would dream of New York in flames and a new Fourth Reich. And it seems to be coming together, here in Bariloche.